morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around, Find Out. In tonight's episode, we're going to go over something I mentioned a few episodes back about the awesomeness that is MCDM Productions, Matt Colville, and all of the amazing resources out there that he has for free or so cheap and just can only improve your table. All right. I purchased the MCDM Patreon a couple weeks ago for $8. I signed up, and that gave me access to everything they've ever done on their Patreon stream, including Arcadia. And so here they all are. 30 issues filled with amazing, amazing things. First and foremost, I will say amazing art. I'm going to go over a good number of these through the lens of my new campaign that I'm slowly brewing, I guess, if I ever get asked to run a lengthy campaign. Some cool ideas that I think any table could use. Some cool ideas specifically for my table. But bury the lead as I do. And who is Matt Colville? Well, let's pull this up if we can. Matt Colville. Let's try Wikipedia. Critical Role. There he is. He's one of the authors of Vox Machina Origins Volume 1 comic series. Along with Matthew Mercer, he also contributed to the Tal'Dorei campaign setting and is thanked in the credits of the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. I didn't know he was that involved with Critical Role, but he's been around for a long time. And skipping from this to his two YouTube channels, this one here, I think he's got two. This one here has got tons and tons and tons of stuff. This is like from the beginning, his, what is the series called? Let's go to playlist. Running the Game. Such great advice. The fact that these are free, not behind some paywall, do yourself a favor. Here's the main series, Running the Game. Check these out. They are amazing, and again, for free. Hours. There's 112 episodes on here. We'll say an average 10 to 15 minutes. These are a half hour. We'll say closer to 15 to 20 minutes. Like me, I think Matt is good at going off on a tangent or maybe leaving the fat on the steak, as it were, with stories and explaining things. But at the end of the day, you know, it makes for a better table experience, we'll say. Very influential for me on his more professional channel, MCDM and Designing the Game. See if I can pull up the playlist here. I think it was the dice mechanics one. Here we go, the dice. I've mentioned this many times. I would start with this episode of all of his things. Just curious, I wonder how many. All right, this has got 100,000 views. Just curious for me personally if this has more or less than the average. 69,000 views. Okay, so 69,000 people watched it, but let's just pick a random one. 2, 43. Okay, whatever. Just a random meaningless fact, but highly recommend checking this one out. Super great. Has changed my table for sure. He also streams here on Twitch, Matthew Colville, logo MCDM. And even though it may sound like I'm an expert Matt Colville fan, I'm very casual. And I pop into his streams maybe once a month. And even then, it's for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. But I did hop in and commented that, hey, I'm very casual, just wondering about Arcadia and the issues with, or if there's going to be any more issues. To which he responded by saying, nope, no more Arcadia. After the Wizards of the Coast Hasbro debacle, I forget the exact name of whatever it was, but basically a big piece of that fallout was if you were using D&D, official D&D licensure, excuse me, that basically if you were making money up, I think starting around $1 million, I forget the dollar amount, that basically they were going to come after creators and say, we deserve a piece of that money. And so he said, we are pretty much done with D&D, and MCDM is also developing their own system, and it would conflict with that. And so, long story short, it's basically, why would we work with somebody that bit the hand that fed you? So, all right. Hey, thanks for responding to a total nobody. That was great. Okay, Matt Colville, cool stuff. He's got a whole team of people, part of his MCDM Productions. And this Patreon, do yourself a favor and sign up for it. I had a tab open and then I closed it out, but let's go to drive through and search MCDM. Here we go. Arcadia bundled. They're in 5, let's see, 19, 20, 21, 22, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 6 issue bundles. And they're at $15 for this bundle. $15 for this bundle. Okay. Or sign up for Patreon, $8, and get access to everything. Download it all. And there you go. I know through drive-through takes 30%-ish. And with Patreon, I don't know what Patreon takes. It's such a popular platform, I can't imagine Patreon takes that much, but I don't know for a fact. So, all right. Through the lens of me with this campaign idea I'm brewing, the world of Valeria, I mentioned in a couple episodes ago, where the world is divided and a secret cabal has come and basically pillaged the whole land of all of their resources so they could create these hyper-focused killing machines, which for me is Hollywood movie monsters. Xenomorph, Predator, The Thing, Jurassic Park dinosaurs, Jaws in the water, which we'll talk about. I think Arcadia here's got some cool stuff. And so of the 30 issues, I've gone through them, and just looking at their table of contents, they usually have about 3 or 4 topics. And I went through all of the table of contents and thought, hey, anything I can add to my game, we'll talk about it. And then also any just really cool ideas, we'll talk about those as well. Something I don't think I've made mention before at all, but someday, I've got ones physically started, but that was very 5th edition focused. I kind of want to make my own, essentially, Dungeon Master's Guide. I want to pull out my binder and say, when you play at my table, these are the rules that I have. And examples are like crafting. I think crafting is criminally underused in role-playing games, 5th edition specifically, because I don't think it's mentioned at all anywhere as a rule. Maybe it is. There's a couple resources I'll talk about someday where every monster in the Monster Manual, Volos' Guide to Monsters, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, there's a supplement out there that says exactly if you kill XYZ monsters, here's XYZ's parts and what they can be used for, whether it's food, crafting magic items, just enhancing items. Crafting is gotta happen in my next game. But there's a system in here, in Arcadia, all about it. So let's get into it. Of the 30 issues I said, we are not going to open up all of them. I've got my notes here to my side of things I've gone through that I think will work for my upcoming game that I'm sort of planning. All right, here's issue number 1. And the art, every single piece of art is just amazing. Kudos, kudos, kudos to the artists and designers. It is, wow, amazing. Okay. First issue here, I've got a note on page 28. All right. Mounted combat. Mounted creature taming is what I care about. And kind of sort of thinking somewhere in my game there will be something kind of like chocobos where eventually players can use them instead of horses. Horses would totally be fine, but this table here I thought was really cool. So how this works is it's an animal handling check, and the DC is 13 plus the creature's challenge rating, which I can't go an episode without talking about the D20 system and how it's just an arbitrary random number. So why 13? I don't know. That bothers me. But I like that it scales with the creature's level that you're trying to tame. And based on the level, if you are close to the DC but miss, or you're way above it, here's a table of options that you can apply to your mount. The 5 or higher plus would be the mount is permanently trained and loyal towards the rider. That's like the ultimate goal. If you meet the DC, the mount is temporarily trained for 8 hours. The rider must then attempt to tame the creature again. Like that. It's not just you got it or you didn't get it. There's levels to it. If you are 5 or lower, 5 or less below the DC, the mount is hostile towards the rider and attacks. The DC on the next check to tame the mount increases by 2. You failed, it didn't like it, it's mad at you, it attacks you. Better luck next time. Oh, wait, I mean worse luck next time. All right? So, very cool. If I use it in my next campaign, great. Definitely going to implement something into my Final Fantasy VII or the Omega Fantasy 2, which I've previously talked about. Some sort of table like this. Issue number 2. There's 2 things to talk about in this one, both of which I don't think apply to my new long-term campaign I'm sort of brewing, but these are just cool ideas. This art is what really inspired me, and I think the periodic table of elementals, great name. The art on these, I just thought, yep, here's campaign-worthy foundational things that you could be implementing. Kamburos are extremely volatile elementals composed of metals like lithium and potassium. Cracks in their dull metallic gray exteriors reveal a searing explosive fire at their core. This fire takes on a characteristic hue depending on the primary composition of the Kamburo, with flames ranging from deep purple to brilliant blue. That was cool. I thought, yeah, that's an amazing idea. This next one, though, come on. Are you kidding me? The art on that is fantastic. I don't know how you pronounce this. Condensure. Made of precious metals like gold and copper, condensurers are known for their incredibly flexible nature and ability to transfer energy across long distances. Condensurs, probably like conduits, are the most docile of the Nova elementals, and many mages keep a condensure in their study purely for its glittering aesthetic. That's so cool. Go through the art on these other ones here. Electric based, and the next one is gaseous based. Very cool. And then page 19, Well of the Lost Gods, an adventure about magical hazards for 8th level characters. All right, what did I like about this? Well, first of all, great one-shot potential. What do I want to read? Adventure overview. The adventure is divided into 3 major parts. Ashted's Oddities. The characters arrive at Ashtead, in time to experience one of the strange local anomalies. Part 2, The Rift. To save the townsfolk, the characters journey to a pool of magical energy located beneath the Wormtail Mountains. Part 3, Magitech Mayhem. The characters locate the source of the anomalies and learn a deeper truth behind the fall of the ancient empire. The art here on this I thought very evocative. You show up and things have just emerged from the ground underneath. Kind of sort of like the yawning portal in Waterdeep. I love Waterdeep. I gotta gather as much information I can on Waterdeep, the yawning portal, the different areas of it. It fascinates me. Like, somebody sat down, took the time to make, a city the size of New York City. There's so many named places in it. It's phenomenal. Anyway, side tangent. But here, this is more just a sales pitch for Arcadia, I guess. They've got a story that you can just drop right in, and for a one-shot or part of your adventure, love it. So I thought that was just a cool idea. All right. Number 3. Now, we're not going through all 30 of these. There's a good number that I didn't find anything of use for me at the time right now. But this art. Look at this art. So cool. So cool. All right. Page 15. Aces High. Get high and don't crash with these new rules for aerial combat. I don't need to go into details on here, but it really got me thinking, like, yeah, in the campaign that I'm writing, I don't have a monster in the air. I've got xenomorphs, which they live they're ground creatures, and they live under an ice cavern. We got jaws in the water. We've got the dinosaurs and terminators and predators on the ground, but I don't have anything in the air. So I love being inspired. I love reading things that just make me think something different. Like, I'm just a train on a track going forward, and if I can make a stop along the way, make me think, yeah, heck yeah. So I've got to do some research. I've got to go back into the think tank, kind of like Hitchcock's Birds. I wouldn't want just birds to be attacking my players, but What is a movie monster theme from the air? And so, let's go on that tangent. Let's do that. I'll search that exact thing. Movie monsters that can fly. Yeah, I don't want these Godzilla things. Flying monster. Movie monster wiki. Fifi the vampire poodle. What? Oh, okay, yeah, I don't. Nothing in here is. Well, I'll definitely save this. I'll go through this, but it's not podcast worthy. Okay, so we'll go back. Here's issue 3. Let's go to issue 4. I've got on here. Look at this art. So cool. If you play Magic the Gathering, I think there's a Commander Golos. I think that kind of looks like Golos. 25. On the road encounters. So I don't think anybody has enough on the road encounters. When I first ran Lost Mines of Phandelver, and it's like the first thing that players do. They come across a wagon on the road that was ransacked by goblins. Their friend, whose name I forget, but he was captured, and then that leads them to the goblin cave. I mean, that's just such a great start to Lost Mines of Phandelver is fantastic. So, I can't know everything all the time. And when I just read this, I thought, Toll Masters. Yep, that's an idea I'm throwing in my game. Even though the world is crazy and chaotic, I want there to be, a semblance of a road. And maybe there's one spot where a road is kept up more than others. So players are able to travel further on it. And then eventually they're going to hit a point where, there's somebody that says this is their road. They're on their road. And now they got to pay the toll. Pay money or, have a battle, have an encounter. Totally wish I would have done that in my previous campaign. But, you can't do everything. So Toll Master was cool. It's got all laid out for you on this map. Merchants that they meet. Let's see. There's one that I more or less did. This one's a classic. Brigands in Disguise. So basically these people on the road say that they need help, and they end up being the bad guys, right? A cartographer, totally going to throw this in to my new campaign. They meet somebody who's mapping things out. They are either curious themselves or they're hired by somebody to map out a dungeon, map out a special area. Totally going to throw an NPC in that's a cartographer. Would I have thought of that on my own? I don't know, but I love that I have this now, and I can pull any details I want. It will only make my game better. All right. Computer's lagging, but I want issue 5. The art on this. Look at this. What are these things? I don't know. That's a cult if I've ever seen one. All right, issue 5, page 2. Okay, this one's kind of a lengthy one, and maybe I would throw this in, but they have, what's the name of this? Long-term curses. 6 magical torments. So it's all about curses that players can have and the effects that these curses can cause. There's a way to break the curse. This one is here, Curse of the Betrayed. So what happens is every morning you have to roll, and if you don't beat the roll, you get a new effect on the curse. Last one, since it's a D10, it's all randomized. No one is necessarily worse than the others. But I'll just read a couple. I question every word the group says to me, even if they're telling me the sky is blue. Okay, that's a curse. You feel betrayed. You don't trust your party anymore. Either you are always with me or you are plotting against me. Anakin. Curses are cool. Now, the fact that they're long term, I'm inexperienced. That I wonder, kind of like, how do I want to say this? I've never been a player that has had a curse. How long is long term? Are we talking for in-game an hour? Are we talking entire game session? Are we talking multiple sessions? Because a player, wants a challenge, but at some point being cursed, it becomes a hindrance. It's like they are playing a whole session, multiple sessions with, like, metaphorically an arm tied behind their back. They want to play their character, but now they have to roleplay that they have these curses on them. So interesting thing. And my kind of take on it for my campaign would be maybe these curses are started with a nightmare. Maybe anytime a PC dies, they're haunted by what they saw, and that kind of sort of causes a curse-like effect. Okay, here we go. You know what? Let's read this, because I bet you it's in here. GM tip: play, not punishment. Curses are a consequence. They're typically cast as a result of a character's action. It's important to not wield these consequences as punishment for your players. Check in with them and make sure they're all right with these rules, as several of these curses remove agency from characters and can impact them in a big way. Arcadia. Nailed it. Freaking nailed it. Exactly what I said. You don't want to hinder a player. You don't want it to not be fun. But exactly what they say here. If a character did something they weren't supposed to do, if they robbed from an NPC, if they stole, well, hey, you know what? Actions have consequences. So I'm glad that little blurb's in there. All right. Issue number 6. This is a cool art here. I wonder how big that statue is. Is it human-sized? Is it mountain-sized? Is it a statue? Is it a living being? I don't know. All right. I don't necessarily think... here we go. Your party needs good rivals, but these adventurers are bad to the bone. So, 4 evil adventurers skulking in the shadows of your heroes. Super cool idea. When I was reading this, I thought, man, kind of, sort of, this is probably a bad example, but for my brain, sort of, kind of like a Scooby-Doo episode where they're trying to solve something, but there's another group there that's also trying to solve it, but they're using the adventuring party or Scooby-Doo to do the work for them. Like, they show up right after Scooby-Doo and the team does all the work, but they take the credit for it, or they take the knowledge without having to do any of the work. Now, I am a casual Critical Role fan. I don't think I've watched any of the new Season 3. Season 1, I tried to get into. There's just so much. I tried to start fresh on Season 2. I probably know the most about Season 2. And I got pretty into it the last couple months of Season 2. Let's see. Edit on my Chrome. Yeah. And to help you out, one of the coolest I don't know if faction is the right word, or evil adventuring party, but the Tomb Takers. This was such a cool group. Do yourself a favor if you're watching this. Go to this website, criticalrole.fandom. Lucien Tavel? I'm not sure pronunciation on that. But it was like an adventuring party that would just show up at the worst time. The party is looking for some magic item, and the party grabs it. Their resources are dwindled. They fought the monster, and then the Tomb Takers show up and take it from them. Like, so cool. So use this for inspiration. The Tomb Takers. Steal that name. That's a great name. Evil adventuring party. I liked that. We'll go back here. So no need to go over this, but they've got examples here of an evil adventuring party that can follow or interact with the players. Okay, next cool idea. Oh, I have 3 from here. 614. Armor of Zavelian. Now, I'm not going to read everything on this, but Armor of a Demigod. This Zavelin here becomes a lich. Right before he dies, he puts all of his spirit into his armor pieces. Kind of like a Horcrux in Harry Potter. And these pieces get scattered all throughout. Kind of made me think of Lord of the Rings, where they bury the Witch King in a mountain far, far away. I don't know what happens to all the other party of the Nazgul, if they're in the same mountain, or what happens to them, but they must not be able to destroy this armor. And so what they do is they just bury it all over the world. And here we go. Well, I think this is it. No. Oh, without finding it, if I just without reading it, I remember that. Okay, here you go. Found it. Sorry. Blabbering. Got it. The first time you attune to a piece of the armor, you gain the following flaw. I must seek out the other pieces of this armor at all cost. While you are attuned to and wearing at least one piece of the armor, you gain a +1 bonus to AC for each piece that you wear. All pieces of the armor count as a single item for attunement. All right. You are drawn to get the other pieces. Once you get the other pieces, Zavelin's spirit revives, and you're given a choice. Either say, hey, when your body dies, I get it. If not, if you deny Zavelin, you must make a DC 25 wisdom saving throw. On a success, Zavelian is temporarily subdued, but makes the offer again in a week. After 3 successful saving throws, Zavelian gives up asking you. On a failed save, Zavelian gains control of your body. You are incapacitated but remain aware. He uses your stats, has 20 intelligence, 20 wisdom, 24 charisma, and he can access your knowledge, class features, and proficiencies. You become the bad guy. Freaking amazing. All right. In my notes here, I have it's kind of like Diablo armor. In my episode, I talked about how video game influences in Diablo armor. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Not necessarily the taking over your body or even them being enchanted, but they all have pieces. They all have pieces. If they all have a story, great, but they all have an effect. This is so cool. And I'm going to circle back to when we get to issue 10. There's another thing like this, but it's more positive, and it's like heroes equipment is scattered all throughout. So very cool. And we've got a third one on here. Let's see, 24, Spelunking. Now, I don't necessarily think this has got amazing thing for your game, but for me, when I was thinking about how I can apply it to the story I'm writing, spelunking. When they go and look for the xenomorph and it's down in the ice cave, yeah, they're spelunking down. Here are things that I can add to the story, add to the game. I like this picture. You come down there and it's totally not what you thought it would be. When I see this picture, I've been thinking like ice cavern. From what I remember of Aliens vs. Predator, it's, basically all ice down there. But once they get down there, once they find the once they spelunk down to the room, that's where you get the slime everywhere. The temperature maybe changes. Maybe it's not frozen down in this one room or this spot. And this is where they first get the signs. Maybe this is where face huggers are growing. And yeah, so I was inspired by this art. So this issue here, number 6, Arcadia number 6, loved it. Lots of things on here. All right. Skipping 7, going to, I think I skipped 7. I think this is my least favorite piece of art. The skull and stuff is cool, but these fairies, they're bah. But anyways, I don't care. I didn't even find anything of value for me in that one. But here we go. The art on this one, amazing. Cool town, cool vibes, cool characters. You look at this picture and you're like, all right, well, we just talked to the king and obviously he's possessed. So what are we going to do? What's the plan? How are we going to conquer this? We got this evil little crow, bat, possum thing here. So cool. All right. I've got 3 things. Oh, yeah. All right. This is not necessarily for my story, but so cool. You want to play a witch? How is a witch not a D&D character or a class? You got warlock, and which is, you make a pact with a demon, but a witch, a hag, yeah, that is an oversight and a half. There should totally be some supplement book for that, but there's not. So that's why you've got Arcadia. All right, next one, page 13. All right, this one I'm probably going to print off and add to my own personal GM binder. Monstrous components. Make spells more potent with monster parts. Talks about why you should do it, how you can do it, the time to do it. And then they break down by types of monsters: aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fiends. Can't have every type, but I mean, there's pretty substantial. Giants, monstrosities. The Tarrasque is in there. What else we got? Plants. Oh, undead. I was curious if undead was in there. That's great. All right, monstrosities. Is a mind flayer? Let me see if I can control F that. That's mind flu. Computer's loading slow. No mind flayers. That's just a personal favorite of mine. I think they're monstrosities. Let me verify that. 5E mind flayer stat block. What are they? Thanks, Pinterest. Aberration. Oh, okay. Bouncing around. Let's go back. I feel like aberrations are there. Control F. Aberrations. Yeah. Mind killer. So with this little crossy symbol here, I wonder if it's on the bottom of this page. No. So they must have been So D&D has a SRD, a system reference document, and I think mind flayers are not in there. So because they're not in there, they can't use that term. But a mind killer, I think, you're getting the point across. Let's see if we can figure out what that means. The components in this article are organized by a creature type. Creatures with an asterisk next to their name can be found in strongholds and followers. Creatures with a dagger can be found in kingdoms and warfare. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. All right, but there are your harvesting, a way to harvest, and based on here it says for spells, but I think there can be way more than just that. But if you're running a long-term campaign, it's definitely not, I shouldn't say definitely, but for me, not something I want to run for a one-shot or a shorter campaign. But long-term, yeah, you'll get big dividends on that. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. 5th edition, the Ranger class is known as one of the weakest classes. They need to have advantage on things like this. If you're out hunting, if you kill any monster, like, harvesting is the ranger's job. Anybody else can do it, but it's at disadvantage. A ranger gets advantage at it. That's what they're good at. That's my 2 cents. All right. Arcadia 9. My note for here is cool, not for me. Let's see what I was thinking about for that. Oh yeah, the whole episode seemed cool. Losing our religion. So you pissed off your patron. Now what? Power is where you take it. The best political intrigue campaigns happen in your city. Filthy peasants. Start a new adventure with these level 0 character rules. You'll need more than one character. So I think that's called a funnel. And Dungeon Crawl Classics, I think, is most known for the funnel system, where you start with, 4, 5, 6 characters, and then whoever survives, that's the character you play with for your campaign. I'd have to test that out myself. That seems like a lot of work, but that's obviously a thing. So issue 9, cool, but not for me. That's what I wrote. All right, issue number 10. Page 10. Look at this art. So cool. You plop that down at your table, your players are scared. All right. Arms of Accord. What's better than a magical sword? A magic sword that also comes with a magic axe, bow, spear, and a mace. I'm hoping the one I want is on here. But my thought process on this is this goes back to the cursed armor, but it inspired me to think, not to abandon the new story that I'm writing, but just a world that was known for amazing blacksmiths, amazing armorers, and the world was just filled with magic items everywhere. And then something happened and they're all lost to history. Slowly but surely, somebody discovers a piece here, a piece there, a whole forgotten civilization is found, and it's more or less like a MacGuffin to a MacGuffin to a MacGuffin. But slowly but surely, everybody is just a treasure hunter. That you could totally have that enemy adventuring party like the Tomb Takers be following, and they find a piece, you find a piece, Do you role play and somehow find a compromise? Do you battle it out? I thought that was just a cool thought, a cool world where just magic items are just galore. Now, I've not run hundreds of campaigns, but whenever I come across the attunement, I think you can attune up to 8 items. Like, who the heck has 8 magic items on them? Let me see. Let me confirm that. It's been a while since I looked up the rules. 5e, how many items can you attune to? Oh, okay. 8 was way wrong. An item can be attuned to only one creature at a time, and a creature can be attuned to no more than 3 magic items at a time. Okay. Screw. I'm an idiot. I'm glad I looked it up because now I know. For some reason in my brain, I thought it was 8 magic items. I must have taken the numerical number 3 and physically morphed it into 2 3s that made an 8. I don't know. I'm dumb. Okay, but back to the issue here. Cool items. They've got a name, they've got a story, they've got an effect. And I don't think this is the one. But there was one that was super cool. I think it was in an issue that there was nothing in there that I liked. But it was like made of leaves. The art on it was just absolutely fantastic. Okay, that's it for issue number 10. Issue number 11. Those are the notes I was going to take, but I did not. Folder, there we go. 11. Page 23. This art. I cut off its snout. Ever wonder what happens when you eat the Tarrasque? Wonder no more. I mean, we already killed it. Why don't we just eat it too? So here goes along with the monster parts. Before it was crafting for spells, but now it's here for eating. And again, your ranger, they should just get advantage on all of these. I think you can make travel more fun with this. It gives a reason for players to travel. They are out getting food. I think it might slow your game down, getting so specific that you need like flour and time to bake. I get it. Not for every table, but some effect of, hey, I killed this monster. What can I do with it? Simple recipes. This is amazing. Somewhere in here, it was like shelf life. Boulette, bangers, and mash. That's just a great name. Hydra 5 ways. So great. Slods. Food focused campaigns. That's amazing. Restaurant owners. Great. Somewhere on here was shelf life. And so it was, how long do these things last for? You kill a monster. You got to do something. You can't just lay it out there. You can't just carry it behind you. Big wild charcuterie board. Amazing. All right. Food. If food's your thing, check this out. Very cool. Issue 12. We got a couple things here. Close that. All right. Issue number 12. Page 24. The Stuff of Nightmares. Encounters and enemies to invade the character's dreams. So this, very cool. I got inspiration for kind of like what I said with the curses before. If my players witness a PC death or something just absolutely horrific happen, well, then they should have nightmares for it. And a table of effects, just somehow skim this over and how it impacts my players. They get disadvantaged if they see a creature that resembles a predator, or like think in Predator when was that Billy stumbles across all of those, is it humans or animals that are all filleted? Like when your players see that, like anytime somebody cooks a steak, they have flashbacks of that and they can't eat the food, or some effect that needs to be tweaked. But I thought that was cool. All right, another thing on here that I think is cool. Oh yeah, okay. So the art on here, all of Arcadia's are just amazing. But this one specifically says, this article is written using the rules for the first edition of the game by Robert J. Kuntz, a game designer who has been working since 1973. His credits include the original Deities and Demigods, so it was a no-brainer to have Rob work on an article for the first edition of the game. If you'd like to run Rob's encounter in the 5th edition of the game for 7th level characters, you can find a conversion guide. But this is like how an old school book is, just black and white with hand-drawn art. Here's a classic blue map, which I believe was blue because at the time that wouldn't show up on a Xerox machine, a copy machine. So I think they were all coming out as just white blank pages if you tried to copy that out and print it. So kind of a cool hack. So just, oh yeah, I mean, this is like, that is old school D&D for sure, the way that's laid out. So I just like this. This was a piece of nostalgia. That's how old school D&D was written. Very cool. All right. We are at the tail end, believe it or not. Well, tail end is wrong. Over halfway, I'll say. Okay. For some reason, 13 is way up here. But here we go. 13, first story we've got. Group maneuvers. This is something that I need to read over extensively. But adding this to your game, I think if you were a master at these group maneuvers, your players would love playing at your table. I think players, new players especially, so many rules, you're locked in, you've got an action, you can move, action, bonus action, maybe a reaction, maybe an opportunity attack, and that's it. You run into battle, and you stay still the entire time. Hack and slash. Maybe if you use a bow, you're moving around a little bit more. If you're a spellcaster, you're probably in the back, hiding behind something, casting spells. But these group maneuvers make any combat so much more dynamic. Perfect here. Group maneuvers introduce new reactions that allow creatures to work with their allies to manipulate the flow of combat. These lightweight mechanics are designed to be available to all creatures, big and small, even foes and monsters. So we'll go over a couple of these. You can learn these during downtime. I love that they have this training montage and explains how to use a maneuver. A maneuver is executed by using your reaction in response to a predefined trigger. An activity being performed by an ally that you can see or hear to combine your efforts into an effect greater than the sum of its parts. I think reactions, at least at my table, maybe shame on me, but I think reactions are criminally underused. So based on a triggering event, here's a couple maneuvers. An alley-oop. When an ally you can see or hear disarms a creature within 5 feet of you and causes it to drop an object, you can use your reaction to either pick up the object, provided you have a free hand to do so, or kick it up to 20 feet away. You can also use your reaction after an ally hang on. You can also use your reaction after an ally you can see or hear scores. That's a long sentence. You can use your reaction after an ally you can see or hear scores a critical hit against a creature within 5 feet of you to disarm that creature, forcing it to drop an object of your choice that it's holding. As part of this maneuver, you can pick up the object or kick it up to 20 feet away. Whew, that's a lot. So, yeah. Never thought of using reactions like this before. Can make combat so much dynamic. In this example of alone, I've never understood why you would ever disarm somebody. Unless it's like an item they're attuned to that's giving them powers. All right. I could deal damage. I believe how it works in 5th edition. I can either do damage or I can use my action to disarm them. Okay, well, once I disarm them, then my turn's over. Their turn starts, they pick up the item, and they're right back at it. I guess I'm an idiot, and other tables do it differently. When you disarm, you fling it, you hit it out of their hand and it goes flying. Sure, roleplay it that way, but these maneuvers, very cool. I'll read it one more here. I've not... That one is the only one I've pre-read. So let's pick this juggler one. When an ally you can see makes a ranged attack with a thrown weapon against a target within 5 feet of you, and you have a free hand, you can use your reaction to toss the weapon back to your ally. Once you've used your reaction to execute this maneuver, you can repeat it any number of times without using your reaction until the end of the turn. Oh, interesting. So if they have more than one attack, your ally throws it, you succeed on grabbing it and throwing it back. Does it just automatically happen? I guess that's something I have to look into more. I don't know if these automatically happen. But then if they have a second attack, throw it again, give it back. Third attack, throw it back. Let's see, using maneuvers. Okay, there's a DC. If a maneuver requires your target to make a saving throw, the DC is calculated as follows. Okay, well, there wasn't a DC for that. It just happened. Something to look at. But maneuvers in general, very cool. Leader maneuvers. I said manure. I said it. Totally worth checking it out. Very, 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 very could literally change the whole dynamic of your game. All right. 13. Now we're skipping 14 and 15. 16. Got 2 things here. Oh yeah, we're just going to give you a map. Awesome. Thank you, Arcadia. Masterwork Artisans. This is how you can really improve the basic weapons of D&D. D&D, I'm sorry, world's most popular role-playing game, you have dropped the ball with your weapons. You just start out with a long sword, a short sword, and I understand if you're a level 1 character, you shouldn't have the best item, but there should be another table. Yes, there's things in the DM's guide of magic weapons, but it just, in my opinion, they really dropped the ball. So here, once you've got beefed up armor, here's how we can give bonuses. Here are the effects that it can do. Just, okay, a barbed weapon. What's a prerequisite? The weapon deals piercing damage. The benefit, when you hit with this weapon and deal at least 5 damage, the target takes an extra 1d6 damage to the weapon type, of the weapons type. So it's barbed. It means if you hit them hard enough, you got the barbs stuck in them enough, roll d6, do extra damage. Very cool. Make weapons fun again. I said it. All right, then page 20, the Black Wield. If you know of the Black Weld, odds are that no one knows you. Super cool idea. I'll just give you the gist of it. There's a mimic that is the size of an entire city block. These are like offshoots of its tentacles spewing out around the block, but good picture here. Oh, this art. Incredible art. Not only the mimic mouth here, but just the whole thing. Just, yeah. Grim, dark, love it. Where is what I want? Maybe I must have skipped it already. Must have been the first picture. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I read it as like this road is just an empty road, and it steals your memories when you go down here. Just a very cool encounter. When I saw that it was a mimic the size of an entire block, I thought that was a cool idea. I wouldn't implement that in the story that I'm going for, but mimics at my table, underused. All right. Issue 17, skip 18. 18, page 26. Puzzles. Right? This is just a sales pitch for Arcadia and why you should get it. Puzzles of permanence. These puzzles with rewards of a more lasting nature. And right here, this quote: each puzzle room and riddle has a reason to exist, else it's no more than a piss-poor trap. By Professor Hinstern, College of Aspirants. Do I know what that is? No, I do not. Do I think it's made up? Yes, I do. But a puzzle, a trap, I get. A trap is cheaper than a monster to watch. If constructed correctly, it doesn't get sick. It doesn't need food. It doesn't have duty, off duty. It's always there. Puzzles are just meant, they're like a sub game within the game. And I like puzzles, but what's the purpose? If you are guarding something, then just put a trap behind it. You know, if it's like a safe with information inside, lock it. Make it a really elaborate lock. So what's the purpose of a puzzle? And again, just a sales pitch for Arcadia. Cool puzzles in here. Worth putting into your game. All right. Did I already mention this was $8? All of these was $8. That's insane. All right, I've got two for here. Just cool ideas. Oh, look at this art. Those skeletons are super cool. Okay. Cursed treasures. Just like talking curses before. Very cool. I feel like done right, a cursed item can be, can just be really impactful. They can really drive a story. Because whatever priority was going on, whatever the mission is, if somebody's got a cursed item that they can't get rid of, now the party's main focus is getting that cursed item off. Very cool. All right, we're going to jump down to page 22. Break in case of TPK. All of the players' character died. Now what? I've never experienced a TPK, so I would love to have one of these situations put in my own personal GM binder. Beat a hag's bargain. Just going over one of these examples. When the characters died, their souls were captured by a night hag named Putrid Agnes, who stole them away to her hut in the material plane. When Agnes brings souls to her hut, she locks them in a cage imbued with dark fey magic. This magic returns the characters to life, then transform them into beets over 24 hours. Once a creature transforms into a beet, she eats them. Right? So it's all about overcoming that obstacle. Blood for blood. The characters' souls have been intercepted by Kotos the Glutton, a lich whose lair lies in a crumbling subterranean citadel that acts as a magnet for wayward souls. Look at that sword. Look at that sword. So cool. I'm gonna really be mad. This thing was cool too. I didn't read what this was, but heck yeah, that thing's cool. I'm gonna be really mad if I don't come across that sword with the cool fall looking aesthetic. It was amazing. All right, big jump ahead, going from issue 19 to 25. Legendary inspiration. No more tired inspiration rules. These are just inspired rules. So just quickly going over this, definitely needs a reread for me, but it's just a different way to make inspiration more meaningful. So let's see. Not critical failure, gaining inspiration. The base guidelines for handing out inspiration say to do so when a player role-plays their character well. Unfortunately, it's easy for GMs to forget about awarding inspiration for good roleplay, and sometimes hard to establish consistency and fairness. The options in this section focus on more objective and clear methods of gaining inspiration so that players can seek out and spend inspiration more regularly. Bonus content. When spelunking in a dungeon, exploring a cave, or traveling through a spider-infested forest, the opportunity for adventure outside the character's main objective might come up. This could take the form of rescuing a prisoner from a dungeon, taking a moment to mine an untapped vein of mithril in a cave, yada yada, doing more than you have to, right? Exploring the world. One of the 3 pillars of RPGs is exploration. So doing that. Anytime you roll a d20, get inspiration. Get inspiration for critical failure. There was some controversy with the new edition of D&D coming out, the 5.5/6/just D&D/D&D 1. It's the 1 edition. I cannot believe they're never going to come out with another edition. Now, complete side tangent. If that's true, I guess I get it, because at the end of the day, is Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, do they want to be known as just a book publishing company? I'm sure there's millions, if not billions, of dollars in that, but at the end of the day, you want to get rich off selling books? I'm sure they saw the writing on the wall and they said, look, 5th edition is our most successful edition yet. Things like Critical Role have a huge influence on that. And so if the train ends because we've got the rules down pat already, what else are we going to do to make money? And apparently, as recording of this, November 18th, 2023, Wizards or Hasbro just came out and their stock is plummeting. It's down. They don't have as many new players, but they're finding other avenues of revenue, like coming up with their own virtual tabletop and other things. But complete tangent. One of the rules they were tweaking, I thought, was this, where you got inspiration every time you rolled a d20. So I guess it's okay if Arcadia does it, but not when Wizards of the Coast does it. And maybe I'm getting that fact wrong, but I thought that's what it was. And people were like, what? That seems kind of busted. All right. 27. I have here all of 27 is cool. And this is for me, specifically for my campaign. This right here, that's what I'm going to show my players. This is Jaws. This is in my news story. What creature is floating around the oceans? Why is traversing the waters not safe? Because of this thing right here. It's all about water. Terrors and wonders of the great blue expanse. Environmental hazards and monsters beneath the waves. And then a guide to making pirate adventures and the tale of the most fearsome sailor. The Ballad of Captain Shivershank. So cool. So I have the whole thing in here. This is going to be a major influence for my story and running water adventures. 27. All right, last one, 30. Now, it's, I don't know how long are we into this here? Just over an hour. All right. So I don't think I made mention, and if I did, I'm repeating myself. Matt Colville has a Twitch stream, and I hopped into his Twitch stream and asked, are there going to be any more Arcadia issues? And he said, nope. He got really upset about the 5e debacle, and that why would he publish things to grow his business if Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast was going to try and get a piece of that pie. So this first paragraph here kind of goes over like, hey, we've done all of these things. It's been great. But at the end of the day, Wizards of the Coast is giving us problems, and they're starting their own role-playing game. So Arcadia might come back, and if it does, it will be related to MCDM's role-playing game, which hopefully I've shown that for $8, ladies and gentlemen, $8, go get this. Go check it out. So cool. All right. Side tangent. There's one more thing I want to show. I've mentioned it a couple times here. Issue 18, Unearthly Weapons, Astounding Magical Tools of Adventure. This sword here, when I saw it, I thought that was so freaking cool. Whether that's metal or that's tree bark, that's totally for a druid. It's Spring's Arrival. This weapon is more grown than forged, with a blade or head of pressed flowers and edges of razor sharp grass. It has a hilt or haft of polished wood adorned with thorny vines and the bright colors of new growth. Special effects. This weapon parries and critical hits are accompanied by a minor natural phenomenon, like a momentary rainburst, a gust of wind, tiny plants bursting from the ground, or the distant flash of sheet lightning. It's got its origins. Very rare. When you roll a 1, 2, or 3 on any damage die, on a damage roll with this weapon, you can re-roll all the damage dice. Frick yeah, this was so cool. Weapon of Hope, kind of like a Buster Sword. What was this? The Weapon of the Seas. So cool. You show your players that, and yeah, they are hooked. The art on that was just amazing. Loved it. This right here is what really got me. That's a home run. All right. Did I mention that this was $8? Is that on here? MCDM, Patreon. Go check it out. I only did it for the month. I got what I wanted and I was out. Doesn't mean I won't subscribe again in the future when maybe the MCDM RPG comes out. I never mentioned, but MCDM Flea Mortals is a book that I bought through Kickstarter, and I have the PDF of I forget the exact name, but it's the layers, monster layers. So that'll definitely be something that I'll talk about in the future. But MCDM has changed my game, changed my table. Go throw them $8. Go check out these 30 issues. I guarantee you'll find something for your game. So thanks for coming in and checking out another episode of Roll Around and Find Out. See you in the next episode. Later.